Pardon, of course he did. It was him as well who started the Lekki Seaport project. And he said he finished it, so I'm going to give it to him. He also did. And that seaport, which of course is for federal government, is a private seaport. Private seaport for those who belong, and those who will be running business and businesses around that axis. So they want to leave Apapa for all of Una. So, and they are also going to leave the Muritala airport for all of Una. So they are building their new airports. They have their own seaports. So Kano Kaduna Rail, Kano Maradi, that particular one is almost the same distance from Lagos to Bayelsa. Like you have the East-West Road. Ordinarily, with 10 trillion naira, I heard it will be completed quite longer than the current coastal road, and also it's pretty much like covered. It's like it covered every part and parcel of the eastern part of Nigeria, as well as the Niger Delta part of Nigeria. So they abandoned that for coastal road, no doubt. This guy abandoned the same supposed east-west road, which was supposed to have a train track too. It's almost the same, almost the same distance. The same distance, or a bit more than the Kano Maradi. He committed 3.5 billion euro of Nigeria's debt. It was a loan. They took it from the European Union to start Kano Maradi train track because Bokwari is from the Niger Republic, and they wanted to probably be holidaying or vacationing in the Niger Republic after office. The story, the rest is history. So yeah, that's Rotifmi Amaechi, and still on River State. So in their studio, in that same Arise studio, between Akwati as well as Rufai, we're talking about Fubara, the spineless, seamless Fubara, who went on to Topale for Tifnumbu after telling everybody that his spirit had left the government house, that he was no longer interested in the job. Now that conversation really got me, so I'm sharing it. Listen.
Trying to see where the chips will fall on the road to 2027.
So we have a buffet this morning of stories, but I want to start with a song this morning. Now our papa be this, so we not get any other. Now our papa be this, so Governor Fubara has gone to see his father, President Tinubu. He has no choice. Because in this game of politics, he's been brown-beaten. That will never, and I repeat, never, read my lips, mitigate the fact that we totally condemn a state of emergency by President Tinubu. And the cases are in court. We'd like to see the Supreme Court pronouncement on that. But the same Fubara that said all of a sudden the other day in a church service that his mind has left the place is going to visit President Tinubu. We are getting indication that things are getting better between them. For the first time in a long while, since all of this started, the tiff started, Wike is saying that he's my son. It's the people that are using him against me. Now, he's going to meet President Tinubu. Does this show you something, that all politicians are the same? It's just about power. A lot of people thought that Fubara was going to stand his ground and say, what's the worst that will happen? You'll impeach me, but it will be on record. But it shows no, that Nigerian politicians are not that way. It's about what they can use and do with that power as at that point in time. But they forget that that power is transient. In the end, it will be standing for something. But like they argue in Nigeria, who's standing for something help? In a country where there's poverty, there's hunger, a lot is going on. But we must still build a society that has values, that where people will have to stand for something. And if you feel being pushed around, it is only right that you stand for something. As regards the commendation,
Governor Sim Fubara visited President Tinubu yesterday. We have not seen the readout of that meeting, but at least this is the first major public meeting, known public meeting between Fubara and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I would just like to say that Governor Sim Fubara, who seems to have shown a lot of penitence, he has shown that he's listening to the president. And I want to imagine that the reason he visited the president again is to remind the president that, please, he's now a good boy. He's not fighting anybody. He has even gone to beg Wike, the Lord and Master of River State politics. I think the president should just be magnanimous. The president should, having declared 6 months, state of emergency in River State, I imagine that part of their conversation will have been Sim Fubara asking the president, please, I'm a good boy, I would like this thing to be lifted. And that the president, who is in fact a non-democrat and federalist, after all, he was critical of the declaration of state of emergency before now in Ekiti State, before now in Plateau State. I think the president should not allow this to be, a blot on his credentials as a Democrat. Having declared that state of emergency, I think he should see good reason why he should.
It is smoke Igbo. It is take Indian. It is smoke Igbo. It is take Indian.
So, Ruben Akpati is trying to toast Tifnumbu. So there's no point in. Sure you get, but that conversation around that, like, those of you who, I don't know if that's even the right word, because people have been saying, I fought for you, I defended you. No, everybody was just reacting. Nobody did anything. Including those who went on TV, making all those media round and all that stuff, right? Nobody did anything. I didn't do anything. So I reacted to it. Sure, you understand? I only reacted. We reacted until when we saw someone who felt so disappointed. Oh, a lot of people felt so disappointed. They wanted to fight for Fubara. Really? Oh, hang on. People fought. There were those who actually did something. They protested. Okay, I take that back. People fought. They protested. They went out every day demanding that the sole administrator imposed on them should be called back to Abuja or Cross River, be Akwa Ibom. But in all of that, Shasha, you get, it seems, don't die in their war. If you are looking for context of don't die in their war, this is a good one. There are many, many instances, all right, but this is a good one. Imagine getting shot by Wike's thugs, and while you are dying, while a boy is dying in the hospital, maybe somehow, apart from other regrets and everything, maybe somehow it feels like he's dying for a right cause. Because if it's going to cost his life, to make sure that with the Wike's injustice against Fubara, never stand. So imagine if a person who don't die can't look back right now. Person who died during their fracas can't look back right now. Can't see Fubara prostrating for with a Wike, and with a Wike calling him his son and all that stuff. So you'll be disappointed, Abi. Me, I no get dog in the fight. I no put money on any of them. I am just revealing these characters to you, so that you will stop having what is called the error of judgment. Because there are so many of you who are just too soft. I mean, I have to respect you. I'm talking about those of you who are still innocent too. I'm not talking about those of you who are closet supporters of this madness. But you're so ashamed of it that you can't publicly admit it. I'm talking about those of you who are like innocently swindled or deceived. Yeah, innocently, not those ones who are selective and all that. But for those of us who know APC, Egbekegbe, very, very well, and not just APC, Egbekegbe, Nigeria politicians generally, their track records and everything, that we choose never to ignore it, right? It is mine to continue to share this with us. so that you can stop having what is called the error of judgment. And say, you know what? Let's just give them time. Let's see what it's going to do. Because you're so soft. You can be easily swayed. There are some of you that the moment they drop God in a conversation like this, disarmed. All of your defense mechanism, everything mark they open up. Once they say, you don't know, there's nothing God cannot do. So, okay, it's true. But there's something that you should know. Those who use that word, they are manipulators. All right? Because it depends on what the conversation is about. If you're having a conversation about the actions, inactions of criminal politicians, people shouldn't drop God in that conversation at all. If you're having such conversation, that is a serious conversation. You know what I mean? An intellectual conversation meant for matured minds, people who have their minds, who still have the control of their minds. So don't let any mad person, whether an old man or old woman or young person, it doesn't matter. The moment any lunatic drop God in that conversation, right? Just do everything. Follow you go gather together and just beat that mufo. Beat them until they can't talk again to be part of that conversation. Because there are those who do that, intentionally. Because you know why? God is not going to construct road. God is not going to capture thieves. And God is not going to jail your criminal politicians. A system will do all of that. It is a working system that will construct standard road. It is a working system that is going to punish any violators. It's a working system that will jail criminals who take advantage or abuse any opportunity given to them in public. It's not God. Oh, only God go help us catch them, Jare, when you're having a serious conversation, when you are comparing action and inactions of these guys, only Mofo and Olori Bruku that drop that conversation dead, like God this, God that. Carry it off them. Enough that, or do your best and make sure that you don't ever start any conversation, any serious conversation around such people. We have them everywhere, right? Politicians can be the same, deceitful. You know what I mean? They asked Rotifmi Amaechi. Charles asked him that, listen, your name is like the kind that can be a little bit confusing. You are Rotimi, a Yoruba name. You are Amaechi, Chibuke, Amaechi, an Igbo name. Or you are claiming to be Ikweres from Rivers. A few times you've actually said you are Igbo too. Guess what he said? In that state of confusion. Now, the video I'm about to play you right now is another better explanation of what identity crisis looks like. It's clear, I'll show you get now, like, if it says, I am Ijebu, and somebody says, are you not a Yoruba man? And I'm like, no, listen. You see, what happened is that, Baba, is a very simple question. Okay, is Ijebu land not part of Yoruba land? Of course it is. That makes me an Ijebu man as well as a Yoruba man. But because of the identity crisis created by this fake contraption hijackers way back, and they have, they have somehow, right, succeeded in inculcating it into the system that people would rather tell you that they are Ijebu or they are Egba, they are not Yoruba. So some of you who don't understand the damages that not having a closure on the old genocidal war in Nigeria, that these guys continue to gloss over it while everybody is trying to tell his own truth, avoiding the real truth. Identity crisis. A former Speaker of House of Assembly, a former state governor, a former federal minister couldn't even answer straight if Ikweres have any connection with the Igbos. But guess what he said? I only use Igbo for political leverage. He's not ashamed of saying that. But I'm not Igbo. I'm Ikwere.
Finally, which ethnic group do you belong to?
I'm an Ikwere man.
What does that mean? I mean, there are people who say that if you talk to some Ikweres people, they'll say they are Igbo. If you talk to others, like Nyesom Wike, they'll say they are not.
Whether you're
and
Igbo,
at different times, you have said you're Igbo, and other times you've said you're
don't
not.
bring that controversy. Don't bring that controversy. I don't know why you want to go into that controversy.
Well, because it's interesting to know what your position is on
No,
that.
it's not. Why is it not? Okay. You are first and foremost an Ikwere man before you can be an Igbo man. So if you ask an Ikwere man, who are you? You say, I'm an Ikwere man. So what you can say is an Ikwere man and Igbo man. There are those who there are divergent views. Majority will say no. In all honesty, majority will say no. There is a very tiny minority which includes me. And why do I take that position? It's political. And when I say political, it's not to win the votes of the Igbos. I didn't like the way the Igbos were being treated at a particular point in time. In protest against that treatment against the Igbos, I began to wear, what's it called? The tiger head.
Their traditional
clothes with the red cap. In protest, asking Nigeria to address their problem. Again, I made it public that I'm an Igbo man. In protest. It doesn't
but not in fact.
It doesn't make me.
You get that? That is what millions are suffering from. Rotifmi Amaechi was asked if he's Igbo, and he said, don't bring that controversy, please. Why is it controversial? Then he went on to say, some Ikweres. No, he first said there are divergent views on that topic. Are the Ikweres Igbos, or are they not? But when he first started, he said, I am an Ikwere first, before I am Igbo. Then he went on to be like, you know what? That's what identity crisis means. He went on to say, okay, yeah, a tiny section, a tiny of us, Ikweres believe that we are Igbos. But others don't believe that they are Igbos. Why? Because after the genocidal war, being seen or identified as an Igbo is like, it's like a stigma. But it's not obvious. When I say a stigma, I'm talking about institutionalized profiling. Within their rank and file, the Igbos must be exterminated. And if they can't be exterminated, they must be decimated so well enough that they would never have the audacity to say they want to have Biafra again. That was the intention. And that was why the terror unleashed on the eastern part of Nigeria, including this Niger Delta part of Nigeria today, which happened to be majorly part of the old eastern Nigeria. The horror that were unleashed on them, most of this horror happened after the supposed liberation of their towns. There were criminal Biafran soldiers that committed all kinds of crimes like, robbery, rape, this and that. So you get villages, communities ransacked while they are pushing back. But you can't really compare the horror that Nigerian troops committed on the supposed liberated area. So this horror, the news of this horror spread so fast that people started denying that they were Igbos. You get what I mean? Like they had to deny it. They had to deny everything that connects them to Igbo. They say, no, we are not. It got so bad that some of them were changing their names. Igbo names were changing them. So it's better to say, no, I am Ikwere. I'm not Igbo. I'm Ikwere. But what's your name? Just give them one funny one. It didn't really save them, but it took them a long time to finally feel like they won't be treated the way the mainstream Igbos will be treated in Nigeria. So to them, it is actually like a survivor, kind of like a survival, hang on, how should I describe that? Like a survivor instinct to say, we need to distance ourselves. We cannot identify as that. But he said he's doing it in protest. I'm doing it because I don't like the way Igbos are treated. There are many like them. They have benefited. They have actually broken into the mainstream political circle of that contraption. But they still carry that tag. You know what I mean? They still carry that tag where people are still going to say, you are Igbo, Joe. You are all Igbos. They say, no, I'm not. Listen. What explaining? I'm a Yoruba man. And I'm very proud to be a Yoruba man.